narrative example, an exciting adventure. I'm not going to read this in its completion, but we will use it as our example for this exercise. So, it was a regular Saturday for Ahmed and Khaled. They were sitting at home watching television when their uncle ran into the house and shouted, "Come boys, we are going to your grandparents' farm in Al-Hor. Make sure to bring your hiking shoes. We are going on an adventure." Ahmed and Khaled were zooming towards Al-Hor in their uncle's Land Cruiser. Ahmed noticed their uncle was acting a bit strange. Suddenly he swerved off the side of the road right into the desert. Ahmed and Khaled were worried and asked their uncle what was wrong, but he was gone. It was just Ahmed and Khaled in the car. Ahmed and Khaled went out to look for their uncle. They found his footprints and began following them. They walked for about 10 minutes. It seemed very strange how obvious the tracks were, but they continued following them. Suddenly, they came to a tent. They noticed the road was near to it. They walked in and everyone shouted, "Surprise!" Ahmed had completely forgotten that it was his birthday today. Khaled laughed at his brother and punched his shoulder. "Happy birthday, doofus." Ahmed laughed and was so happy. His friends and family remembered his birthday. They all had a lovely time and went home happy. So, this story, we're going to take the plot and we're going to try to develop it. And to do that, we're going to look at our storyboards again. So for this one, we have our characters, setting, and problem, and then our solution and our ending. So if we look at it, let's look at the plot of a narrative. And just remember things or events that happen to solve the problem in a story. Now, a plot can mean many different things. For our simple problem solution stories, this is what we're going to take it as. Just the things that happen to solve the problem. So we remember our storyboard. We just saw our example. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure how we get from the problem to the solution. And we're going to do it by looking at events. So in this example, there will be 4 events. In the template I give you, there will be 4 events. In your stories, make sure there are at least 4 events in your plot. So, event 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to flip this around because I prefer things going up, but it's basically how we work from our problem to our solution. Okay, so if we remember an example of an exciting adventure, because I just read it to you, the problem was Ahmed and Khalifa's uncle left them stranded in the desert. Now we have our 4 events, and we have a solution. They found a tent in the desert, and they were part of a surprise birthday party. Now, if your events kind of lead into each other, you have to put them in a specific order. In this story, only the 4th event really needs to be in that order. So, the old plot, Ahmed and Khaled went out to look for their uncle. They found his footprints and began following them. They walked for about 10 minutes. It seemed very strange how obvious the tracks were, but they continued following them. Suddenly, they came to a tent. They noticed the road was near to it. Now, this is a very simple problem, and it's not very well developed as a plot, or a very simple plot, sorry. So, basically, there's only 2 events here. The boys found footprints and followed them, and the boys saw a tent in the distance. So let's try to add 2 more. Because if we add 2 more, we're going to be able to explain better what the boys did on their little adventure, and we're going to get more marks. So now let's add more detail to get more marks. We do this by adding more events to our plot. So in this case, a detail is an event. Okay, so what about Khalifa fell down a sand dune? That could be another event that happens in the desert. Now again, our events have to make sense. I cannot say at this point that Khalifa dove into a swimming pool because there is very likely not going to be a swimming pool in the desert. So, event 2, Khalifa fell down a sand dune. And event 3, the boy saw a falcon hunting a mouse. Again, this is something that could definitely happen. Okay, so now our new and more marks plot. Ahmed and Khaled went out to look for their uncle. They found his footprints and began following them. They walked for about 10 minutes. It seemed very strange how obvious the tracks were, but they continued following them. While they were walking, Khalifa wasn't paying attention and fell right down a large sand dune. He was uninjured, and his brother had a fun time laughing. The boys kept walking. They heard a falcon in the distance. It was hunting a mouse. Suddenly they came to a tent. They noticed the road was near to it. Also, we're going to be doing a fluency reading strategy this week about the pace in which we read. So I want you to take notice of how I am reading the story as well. So what we've done is added 2 more events here, and that basically will give us more marks, but it'll also allow us to develop it more. So all of these events are just the plot. That is exactly what they are. Okay, that is all for now. I will see you in class, and I hope you had a very relaxing holiday and you are ready to learn. We have a lot of work to get through.